Hello children, it's Mr. Branigan here. This week I'll be doing some literacy work with you. I hope you're all well and you enjoy the lesson. So the first thing I'm going to do is share my screen with you so you can actually see what it is that I am talking about. So just bear with me whilst I do that. I will disappear, so goodbye. Right. So this week in writing, we're going to be thinking about settings. And as you're reading about Peter Pan, I thought that you could write about the setting of Neverland, which is, of course, where he lives. Now, when it came to me writing my own version, I used Google to search for settings of Peter Pan, and I found one that I particularly liked. So this is the one that I liked here. As you can see, we've got Peter Pan perched on a bit of alliteration there, perched on a rock, and he's gazing out over Neverland. And I really wanted to describe what he was seeing, paint a picture for the reader. And hopefully the things that we discussed this week will allow you to do the same. So let's get started, shall we? Now, first of all, I thought I would share my example with you so you know what you're aiming for at the end of the week. And it's always there for you to look back on as well. You can just reload this video and have a look at my version. Obviously, don't copy it. There are some words that I use in my version that I thought we'd go through the meanings to. So we've got lagoon, which is a stretch of water that's separated from the sea. It's usually separated by sand, sometimes rock. The summit or the peak, you should remember this from your geography lessons. That's the top of a mountain. Reverberated, which is a noise that's repeated like an echo in a cave. So once you've said something, it just keeps repeating. I think in my version, it's a cannonball that reverberates, the sound of an explosion. Vague, something that's vague is unclear or uncertain. And finally, Jolly Roger, which was a flag that was flown by pirate ships on top of the mast. Okay, so I'm going to read you my version now. I can appreciate that I've got this smart notebook writing in the way. I'm sorry about that. I will scroll down so you can see all of it. Gazing across the lagoon, Peter took in a deep breath and marvelled at the beauty of the place he called home. In the distance, he could see the waterfall that cascaded from the mountain's summit and split into smaller streams before plunging into the sea. Huge blankets of clouds clung tightly to the jagged rock. Directly above, a ray of hope arched across the sky. It was then that he noticed something lurking in the darkness, something vague. It slipped silently through the mist. The hairs on the back of Peter's neck stood up. A Jolly Roger, which had been disguised until now, twitched amongst the mist. Wiping the beads of sweat from his forehead and reaching for his dagger, Peter swooped silently above the clouds. The explosion of a cannon reverberated, piercing the silence. Right. So that was my example. Now, today we're going to have a focus like we would do in usual lessons. So our WALT for today is we're learning to write prepositions to describe where objects are in a setting. We have looked at prepositions before, children, when we've described a setting, so this shouldn't be anything new to you. So let's just recap on what a preposition is. A preposition tells us where something is or when something is happening. Okay, and these are particularly useful in your writing because they help paint the picture for the reader. They can imagine where the things are that you're describing, or in this case today, where the things are that Peter can see. Now, I've used lots of prepositions in my example. So what I'd like you to do now, on the next page, as soon as I put it over, you can pause the video and have a look for the prepositions that I've used. You might want to write them down on a piece of paper, or you may just want to talk about it with a member of your family, just to see if you can spot them. Let them join in too. So if you pause the video now, then you will be able to look. Okay, children, welcome back. Hopefully you paused the video and you had a good look. I'm about to show you where the prepositions are. There they all are. So we've got across the lagoon, in a deep breath, in the distance. All of these examples show the reader where the objects are in relation to other things. They also show you, when something is happening. Okay. Now, what I thought we'd do, which is similar to what we do in school, this would be a time where I'd ask you to grab your magpie book or a whiteboard, and we're going to practice having a go a few ourselves. Now, that's going to be really difficult to do, so I thought I'd just talk you through some examples. So I've got my arrow here pointing to Peter, and I want to show this setting through his eyes. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is just have a go at a few sentences with you. So we've got Peter gazing across the lagoon. His eyes were drawn to. That means the first thing he noticed. Let's have a look at the picture. I quite like the look of this cave down here, the Skull Cave, which I didn't mention in my previous example. So I'm going to have a go at that now. So Peter gazed across the lagoon. His eyes were drawn to the cave. Let's have scowling. The cave does look like it's scowling. His eyes were drawn to the scowling cave. And now I'm going to use the preposition to show where the cave was. His eyes were drawn to the scowling cave. Where is it? Let's have a look. I'm going to say on the west of the island. His eyes were drawn to the scowling cave on the west of the island. Let's just change the text. On the west of the island. And there you can see that I've used a preposition to show where the scowling cave was. It doesn't actually say anything about the cave, so I think what I'm going to do, because you can't really miss the cave, it's shaped like a skull, isn't it? I'm going to use an expanded noun phrase. So, his eyes were drawn to the scowling cave that protruded from the rock. Well, that doesn't mention the skull though, does it? That was shaped like a skull. Let's have a look at how that reads. His eyes were drawn to the scowling cave that was shaped like a skull on the west of the island. His eyes were drawn to the scowling cave that was shaped like a skull on the west of the island. Okay. Yeah, that looks good to me. Okay, let's have a go at another one. What shall we look at next? I quite like the look of the water that is spewing from the top of the mountain. So I think I'm going to have a go at that. This time I'm going to use the preposition at the start of the sentence. So I'm going to go with... well, it's above the clouds, isn't it? So there's my preposition. High above the clouds, I think I'll go for. High above the clouds. So there's my preposition. High above the clouds. The peak of the mountain. Peak of the mountain, which is, of course, the top, the summit. Mountain. The peak of the mountain. Oh, now I need a word for... I like the word spewed, but I think I'm going to go with gushed. Gushed. If you are struggling for words, children, you can just go on, as you can see I've done earlier on, onto Google and type in the word that you want, and then just type synonyms. Synonyms. And once you click that search, it will come up with a list of words that you can use. So I want this one here, flow out of something in a rapid and plentiful stream. Surged, burst, spout, spurted. I used cascade in my other one. I think I'm going to go for... I'm going to stick with gushed. Yeah, I'm going to stick with gushed. The peak of the mountain gushed with water. Let's use a conjunction. And plunged. And plunged to the lagoon below. High above the clouds, the peak of the mountain gushed with water and plunged to the lagoon below. Yeah, that sounds good to me. Now, at the moment, I am just writing separate sentences. This isn't flowing like a paragraph. I just want to concentrate on writing sentences that contain prepositions. Let's have a go at one more. I can't look at all this without noticing that pirate ship there, which of course belongs to Peter Pan's enemy, Captain Hook. I'm going to imagine that there's some mist and Peter can't see it straight away. So it's going to be sudden because he's not expecting it. Suddenly he noticed something. Suddenly Peter noticed something. A vague silhouette. You want a vague silhouette. Suddenly, Peter noticed something in the mist. A vague silhouette. As he I need my preposition. In the mist. I don't think that. Something in the mist. Something through the mist. Okay, that's showing the reader where it is. Suddenly Peter noticed something through the mist. A vague silhouette. Well, I think that could be good as a short sentence there then. A vague silhouette. A jolly Roger. There we go. The preposition that I've used in that sentence is something through the mist. Sorry, I don't know why I've highlighted something there. Just take that off. I'm not starting the video again. I've already done it 3 times. Okay, so hopefully now, children, you'll be getting an idea of what I'm looking for with prepositions. Now, what I would like you to do, your task, is to write 5 sentences to describe what our main character, that's Peter Pan, can see whilst he's perched on the rock. You can write them as 5 separate sentences, just like I've done. They don't have to flow. I suppose if you do want a challenge, then you could write a small paragraph like I showed you at the start. You could go back and have a look at mine. These prepositions are really important because they are going to paint that picture in the reader's head. So don't forget to use them because that is today's WALT. I will set a to-do on purple mash and you will be able to type your sentences into there. If you can't get onto purple mash, then don't worry. You can always take a picture of your work, whether you're using a tablet or a phone. If you've written it on a piece of paper, you can take a picture and you can send them to our year group email address, which is year4@bluecoatfederation.co.uk. And finally, children, if you want to pause the video at this point now, whilst you're doing your work, I've given you some examples that you may use. Now, I would much prefer if you came up with your own. However, if you are struggling, there are some that you may wish to use. Now, the prepositions that I've got there on the screen are, of course, at the start of the sentences. But this isn't always the case, as we've seen from my examples. They can come anywhere in a sentence, so you may wish to end the sentence with your preposition. It's entirely up to you. So that's the end of my first video. Remember, 5 sentences. If you can do more, then great. If you want to write a paragraph, I'll be even more impressed. I can't wait to read what you record children. I really look forward to seeing your work. So with one thing to do, and I'm really struggling here. There we go, I'm back. Good luck to all of you. If you need any help, I'm in the teacher blog, and obviously for MJ and for AF, you've got your teacher in your blog too. So if you are struggling, then please message your teacher. Another good thing to do might be, if you come up with a really good preposition, is share it on the blog, and then other children can obviously use it too. So thank you very much. Good luck. Bye-bye.